In aviation, safety isn't just a goal, it's a mindset, a commitment, a culture. Safety culture defines how air navigation service providers make decisions, manage risks, and ensure every flight reaches its destination safely. It's what keeps our skies secure and our operations resilient. But how do we measure safety culture? How do we improve it? And most importantly, how do we work together to build a stronger, safer future? In this video, we'll take you inside the new CANSO Safety Culture Benchmarking Project, a global initiative that's beginning to transform the way ANSPs understand, compare, and enhance their safety culture. Let's dive in.
Hi, my name's Leah Vink. I'm currently the chair of the Human Performance Management Work Group at CANSO, as well as the Human Performance Lead here at Austro Control in Vienna, Austria.
My name is Melanie and I am SkyGuide's Line and Culture Delegate for the Safety, Security, Risk and ATM Compliance Department.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Potterbury. I work at NAV Canada as a Manager of Safety Programs and Projects in the Safety and Quality Department.
Together with my amazing colleagues in Switzerland and Canada, we have been trying to tackle these questions and bring together a dynamic concept through the CANSO safety program that will allow ANSPs not only to measure safety culture and understand their safety culture, but more rapidly and more importantly, how they can understand it within the context of other ANSPs and other kinds of operations so that we can continue to improve not just on a year-by-year basis, but practically in a novel and changing environment where new airspace uses, where there are new human performance challenges, and fundamentally where there are new safety challenges. CANSO's Safety Culture Benchmarking Project provides a data-driven, comprehensive data analysis of safety culture across air navigation service providers worldwide. By assessing cultural strengths and identifying areas for development, we are setting new standards in safety excellence. So what exactly is safety culture? Culture belongs to an understanding in the organizational psychology world that over time, what we believe in together will predict how we will behave as an organization or as an operation. When it comes to safety culture, this specifically refers to our shared beliefs together about safety. And if we can measure that in a meaningful and dynamic way, then we have a pretty good chance at understanding how we will behave together as an operation and an organization when it comes to safety. So what's the background behind this idea? Well, in 2012 in Europe, the European Union, through Eurocontrol, introduced a set of standardized safety culture measurements. And ANSPs across the continent were invited to conduct these very large question sets with over 80 questions. Back in 2012, it was quite a cumbersome process, which involved sending out questionnaires to everyone in the organization. Usually ANSPs then would employ an external consultancy firm or consultants from Eurocontrol to come and analyze that data, work through it, and then come up with a story about safety culture. Over the years, this support from Eurocontrol has been a really beneficial process to help especially European ANSPs reach a level of safety culture maturity, so that here in the continent in Europe now, we are all collectively relatively mature when it comes to safety culture. However, these resources are no longer available to many of the ANSPs in terms of the external support. We also faced a big challenge during the COVID period, which was that how could we go out and send questionnaires and conduct safety culture workshops with our staff when we couldn't physically be in the same room as them? In 2021, SkyGuide and Austro Control, our friends and neighbors in Switzerland and here in Austria, decided that what we would do to tackle this is come up with an electronic survey method and also an online workshop capability. And we developed a new methodology with a much reduced question set because fundamentally we wanted to capture dynamically what we believe about safety in a faster and more understandable way when delivering some quick points to our management and also to our operators. We therefore developed a 16-question core set for our safety culture. And these 16 questions actually have their origins all the way back in the original Eurocontrol question set. We went from over 80 questions down to 16 because we found that this was the perfect amount of questions to give us just enough data that is meaningful and valid without a long and cumbersome process, which we knew through experience many of our operators simply gave up on or ran out of energy to conduct. In 2021, we validated this question set along with our new safety culture workshop concept, which we borrowed from Eurocontrol's asset-based workshops. We then published our methodology, and in 2024, NAV Canada decided that they would love to try this methodology themselves and reach a kind of benchmarking opportunity with Ostrocontrol in order to see how they would look next to us with the same set of question sets.
The joint methodology started rather basic with descriptive statistical analysis methods, each organization for itself, and evolved in a way that today statistical data is fed into a big dashboard. This dashboard allows for immediate comparison of data between different organizations and shows you at a glance where your strengths and weaknesses are. The qualitative online workshops evolved in a way that at the beginning they were only held with people from one organization, but co-moderated by experts from both organizations. And later they were conducted with people from all participating organizations, also moderated by experts from all organizations. And this proved to be a very beneficial way of doing it. An aspect which makes the methodology effective is the fact that it both allows for organization-related individuality, for example, the tool each organization wishes to use for the online questionnaire, as well as really shared elements such as the online qualitative workshops.
Looking at the information on a larger scale, NAV Canada has had the luxury in the past to compare flight information region to flight information region. But this has been the opportunity to compare companies like ourselves to understand what's working well, what's normal, and what could be improved upon. It also allows for the data to be compared, and if there is similar results, working together to find a way to improve upon those and replicate those in other ANSPs. For example, if there's a strong reporting culture in one ANSP, perhaps the steps that they took to get there can be changed or can be copied and brought to another ANSP.
Our methodology, which we developed further with NAV Canada and SkyGuide, involves 16 core questions, a set of joint online workshops, and crucially, a core set of demographics that allows us to look at ATCOs versus non-ATCOs, employees versus managers, and supervisors in the middle. And if you are an ATCO, we can split it by tower versus en route. By doing these 16 core questions, once again, it allows us to compare ourselves with each other. One of the novel steps forward that we've actually employed with Canada is to develop a Power BI dashboard. This Power BI dashboard actually will allow us to visualize the data in new and compelling ways that will allow us also to compare ourselves more rapidly. So how do these 16 core questions work? Well, we've chosen them very specifically because they allow us not just to see on a 1 to 5 scale where your pulse of your organization actually looks and how the physical answers to these questions are, but actually we designed them in such a way as that we can map them into 4 key quadrants. And these 4 key quadrants are really, really interesting in terms of how you can achieve various solutions. The 4 quadrants are ground up safety responsibility, employees asking questions, open and honest conversations about safety, and finally generating a feeling of healthy unease. Now, these 4 quadrants are really useful, not just from understanding exactly where you are in them, but actually what kinds of solutions are available to you as an organization to improve your safety culture. For example, generating a healthy feeling of unease seems a little counterintuitive. We like to joke that this one is about the feeling of grumpiness in your organization. but actually having a certain amount of uneasiness about the situation is a really, really positive sign that your organization cares. And when it comes to safety, this is crucial when seeking commitment to safety as an operation. Another area, the open and honest conversations about safety, reflects an organization's just culture and how open people are in discussing mistakes and sharing ideas with each other. Asking questions, or employees asking questions, is fundamental to challenging the status quo so that we don't end up complacent or in a situation where our safety culture might start to dip down or creep back as the world changes around us. And finally, generating a ground-up area of responsibility. This is the absolute crucial key when generating safety culture on the ground floor of our operations and our towers. It's fundamental that we empower each and every person in the organization to feel like safety is part of their work. And when we measure these 16 core questions, we can map each of the 4 quadrants and understand where we sit in these quadrants. And by benchmarking with other countries, we can then look at how these quadrants actually stack up next to each other in different countries.
It was astonishing and at the same time reassuring to see that even though the individual organizations differed in favorability of certain safety culture aspects, the basic trends were always the same. It was very beneficial to collaborate on data collection and data analysis. This included, for example, discussions about what categories of demographics should be included, what scales should be used for the different questions, or how the different workshop groups should be composed.
The fact that the majority of the answers between Austro Control and NAV Canada were only within a few percentage points was very interesting to me. It tells me that we are asking the right questions. It also gives us some areas that we can improve upon, such as our reporting culture compared to Austro Control. For me, the most insightful elements of the benchmarking project was working with other ANSPs, something I had not been able to do before this project. It also allowed us to connect other like roles with like roles in an online way that they're able to understand that their roles are very similar or different depending where they're from.
And here are the 3 key ways that it works. Number 1, we have a comprehensive survey. It's very simple. All you need to do is send out 16 questions in a digital form with the right demographics to your organization. Once you collect that data, you can submit it straight to us through the CANSO Human Performance Management Working Group, and we can dashboard that on a Power BI. Then comes the next step, the industry benchmarking. Once you have access to this Power BI, we can then compare your results with other ANSPs. And then the final step is that we can help you generate actionable recommendations. And the goal is that over the coming years, we bring together 5, 10, 15, 20 ANSPs, and we learn from each other by exchanging what kinds of recommendations and solutions each ANSP comes up with, and then sharing them amongst ourselves in a true benchmarking and solution type sharing exercise.
If ANSPs are interested in joining this process, I would recommend that they review the core 16 questions, as well as the demographic questions that need to be asked. Additional questions can be asked in your internal safety culture survey. Austro Control and NAV Canada both added questions as they were conducting the survey. However, only the core 16 questions will be used. The results of the ANSPs will be entered into the dashboard, and data will be able to be compared year over year with all the new information that's added.
A strong safety culture is not built overnight. It can take 5 to 10 years to truly change and shape a culture. And it really takes commitment, measurement, and action to change and implement what you need as an organization. This is why our CANSO Safety Culture Benchmarking Project has been established. Our goal is through the CANSO Safety Program, our Next Gen SMS team, our Human Performance Work Group team, and our Safety Intelligence team, is to help ANSPs measure and benchmark their safety culture in a new and dynamic way. And now we need you to be part of this journey. Our goal is to find new ANSPs who are considering evaluating their safety culture in the coming year or two, and getting in touch with us to find out how they could benefit from our approach and how they could also benefit from benchmarking their results and crucially sharing and leveraging our existing expertise.
I see this project expanding as other ANSPs join. Once we have more data to compare, we will be able to communicate and share information, learn from each other, help develop what's working right and what isn't working, what has worked in the past for somebody so it can be replicated for other ANSPs. Let's get away from poster campaign. What worked for you? How can we use that data that information for ourselves? Other industries are also doing similar surveys and comparisons of their surveys. For example, IATA, maybe in the future we'll be able to overlap into other industries and work together, building a stronger and more safe aviation industry.
Our Human Performance Work Group currently has over 45 members, and when we combine that with the Next Gen SMS group, which is also a very large working group, the possibility for your ANSP to benefit from really expert advice through these working groups is very high. When it comes to safety intelligence, having a dynamic benchmark of safety culture is the first big step in shaping your human performance program and also understanding what is generating your culture at a very human level. Because remember, safety culture reflects what we believe about safety culture and helps us predict how we will behave when it comes to implementing and maintaining safety.
To see it as a big opportunity with no risk of losing anything. Even if your results show lower values of favorability, it can only be advantageous to know where to improve and to know from whom you can learn.
Overall, if we work together, our aviation industries will improve across the globe. I also hope that together we'll be able to improve our safety culture worldwide.
It excites me to see the safety culture dashboard grow. It also excites me to welcome more and more people from different organizations at the workshop tables. Let's further improve safety culture survey methodology across countries, across borders. You are warmly welcome to join.